Hey, what's going on, guys? Jay here from Easy Blade. We're back with another haircut barber tutorial. Today we're going to do a high skin fade and with a beard. So what we did was we started off with our Babyliss T outliner. These things are so sharp, loving them right now. We're going a little bit higher than the temple area of the head, and we're making sure that the haircut is nice and clean. You don't want to have to go over this, 3 times, 4 times after you already finished the haircut. You want to make sure that you go over this one time when you first do it the first time, guys. So just go over it and make sure that it's clean. So what we're doing the same thing again, higher than the temple area, going all the way around the head, making sure that it's nice and even, making sure it's nice and clean. Then we're gonna go ahead and grab our shaver, and we're gonna go ahead and basically shave out that hair and make sure that it has that nice bald look. Now the reason you want to do this is because it really makes the fade pop later on in the haircut. It really brings out that fade and really gives it that look that you're looking for. It really gives it that nice photo ready look. It really shows the transition of the fade. So you want to make sure you do that all the way around the head and keep it a little lower. Don't go really high. So the next thing we're going to do is basically open our machine up all the way and create our second guideline. Now we're going to have one guideline, which was our skin line, and then the second one is going to be our half line. Basically our machine open is a half, so it's going to be our half line. And you want to flick your wrist just to create that look and create that bar. Okay, we're going to do that all the way around the head and make sure that it is nice and clean. And the reason why I always say nice and clean, guys, because if you don't clean the area the right way, what it's going to do when you start fading is going to look different in every other area. So if we don't clean it up, when we move on to the next step, we're going to kind of get lost in the fade. So if you do it the first time, meaning go over it and make sure that it's clean, you don't have anything to worry about. So that's the reason why you always hear me say nice and clean. So we're doing the same thing again with a 1.5. Flicking our wrist all the way up to the crown of the head, because again, this is a high skin fade. So we're going high. We're going all the way up to the crown of the head with our 1.5. Now this client in particular has curly hair, more of a coarse type of hair. So it depends. If you have somebody with straight hair, we might want to start with a 2, then work our way to the 1.5. Always see what works. Don't just jump into a guard that I say or somebody else says. Always see what works first on a person. See what happens when you use a bigger guard. Always start big. I love to start big, and then I'll go smaller if I have to. That's the safe way. So what we did here was drop down to a 1.5, and we're basically flicking our wrists and blending into that previous guard, which was our 1.5. So this is a 1 that we have on the machine. I apologize, guys. So we're blending out the 1.5 with the 1. So we're just basically flicking our wrists and blending into that 1.5, guys. All right, so you want to make sure you start off with a bigger guard, because sometimes you can't go backwards. You know what I mean? You want to start off big, and if that doesn't work, then you jump to the other one. Don't just go with any guard that anybody says, because all hair is different, all textures of hair is different, and depending on what type of texture hair you're cutting will depend if how the machine will cut the hair, basically. So again, we're using our 1, and we're fading into our 1.5, which went all the way down to the crown. And we're using our lever to blend into that previous clip. We're closing it, and as we get higher, we're opening the clipper. So now we drop down to our half. So now we're making sure that second guideline is completely taken out, guys. So we drop down to our half, and we're basically flicking our wrists, opening our lever every time we get higher to blend into that last guideline. And then that only guideline we're gonna have left is the skin line, which is our last guideline. A lot of people get worried, when they see that skin line, they don't know what they're doing. So as you guys can see, now that I hit it with the 1.5, you can see that it's nice and clean, and the haircut, it basically is clean. That's why you have to go over it a few times. And for video purposes, I speeded it up. So you want to go ahead and go over it and just make sure that it's clean. Okay, you want to make sure that everything is nice and clean, and then you can move on to the next step. Okay, you can see that it's where it needs to be. So what we're going to do now is basically drop down and blend out that skin line before we get to the other side of the head. So we close our machine all the way. Now if your machine is 0 gapped, it should be able to remove that skin line. But in this case right here, in this particular video, I wanted to show you guys this because my clippers are 0 gap, but those outliners that I purchased from Babyliss, they're really sharp. Again, I didn't even 0 gap them, and they're sharp. So they kind of left a little line behind. So what I did was, I'm going to show you guys a trick, and I wanted to show you guys. So I'm using my 0 right here. It's perfectly blended out. My machine is 0 gap, and it perfectly took out that line. But in the back area of the head, which was a little weird, which I noticed this happens on some haircuts. I don't know, certain haircuts it happens on. You can see at the bottom, there's still a skin line. There's still that first skin line that I did initially. And what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna go back with my outliner, the T outliner, and I'm basically gonna flick that little line out. You see how I'm just flicking it, guys? Lightly flicking it, not going higher, and just flicking out that skin line. So if you ever have that problem, that's exactly what you're gonna do. And then I noticed it happened again on this side as well. So what I did was I jumped back to that T outliner and flicked that out, okay? And since everything was nice and clean, I didn't have a problem understanding where the fade was or where the line was, because it showed where it was at. If it, like I said, if it was spotty, if the hair was spotty and it wasn't clean, then I would have never known where the little line was at. I would have been, it would have been all over the place. And sometimes the fade could be all over the place, So again, my machine is zero gap. It's taking out the line, but again, on this particular side of the head, maybe I pressed too hard with the outliner, but it did leave a little bit of the residue of the line at the bottom. So what I'm gonna do here is finish it out, relax, finish it out, blend it all the way out. It looks nice and clean. What I'm gonna do is jump right back up to my T outliner just to get the little bit of line at the bottom, because I don't want an invisible ghost line there. Like a ghost, I said invisible, but a ghost line there kind of making the fade look weird. Okay, there we go. So what I'm gonna do is nice and clean, very high fade. I'm gonna go ahead and shape up the front of the hair. Now again, his hairline's a tiny bit higher. So what I did was kind of went in the corners a little bit, and then I don't want to say I made like a U, but I slightly made kind of like a U-ish, because it goes up a little higher in the corner. As you can see over here, I didn't do that. That's just how his hairline is. You have to know how to work around different customers' hair. You have to know how to work around different clients. So what I did is brush down as much as I can, and I gotta kind of go into the corner just a little bit. So I kind of made it like a roundish in the front a little bit, but you have to do certain things to make things look right, okay? Nothing wrong with his headline, looks perfect, but it just goes up a little bit slightly in the corners. So I have to compensate and kind of go into the corners a little bit. And right here in the middle, as you can see, his headline is straight. Like I said, it just gives it more of a U-ish kind of, look to it. But that's what you got to do. You got to know how to work with different people. Everybody's hair is different, and you got to know how to work around different clients. And that's what's going to make you skilled, and that's what makes you an artist, and that's what's going to make you good at what you do, okay? All right, so what I'm doing here is just making sure that it's straight, making sure I have it exactly where I want it, and just, going over the hair and show you guys different angles and just show you guys how I get the job done. I'm really taking my time on the headline and just making sure that it is straight. Okay, here you go. Here's another side profile. And you want to make sure that your outline, you're using the moving blade on your outliner, guys. And a lot of times I notice a lot of guys do not use the moving part of the blade. All right, so I brushed off my client's nose just to make sure that hair wasn't on there. You want to make sure that you keep your clients clean. So we're going to start our beard. So what we're doing here is basically shaping out the beard. We want to make sure that we start on the outside of the beard. I don't like to do the top part first. I love to do the outside because I feel like it makes it makes it more clean. Like I said, I like everything together. You got to have a plan when you're cutting hair. You can't just cut hair and just kind of guess it out. You got to have a plan on what you're going to do. So what I do, like I said, you have to have a map. I basically start on the outside, and then I start the inside later. The inside meaning the top, the right here, meaning the beard, okay? I do that last. And I'm not gonna get too detailed with the top of it. And the reason is because I love to use a straight razor to really make the beard detailed, okay? The straight razor is really what's gonna make it pop. It's really gonna make that beard pop out. The T outliner can do it, but it's just way too much work. We're gonna do the same thing along on this side. We're gonna go ahead and shape out the side of the beard, then the bottom. And we go ahead and tell our client a few jokes and make them smile. You always want to have that relationship with your customer. You want to make sure that you build a relationship and build a bond with your customers, because that's the only way you're going to be able to keep customers. You got to build a friendship. What we're doing is using the Easy Blade shave gel. We're going to use the Easy Blade straight razor, and we're going to go ahead and line up his beard and make sure that it's nice and sharp. So the first thing I like to do is put the gel on, shape up the beard, all right? And then what I like to do is let the beard dry up a little bit, and then I'll go over it again with the straight razor to give it more of a crisp look. And that's exactly what you see on this side. You see me going over it once it dries up a little bit, and that's what really gives it that sharp look without applying any dyes or like enhancements or anything like that. You can give it that nice look without that. So we're gonna go ahead and shape up the front headline as well. And you can see, guys, we have a nice clean high skin fade with a beard. All right, that's that side, and this is this side. I like the way this fade came out. If you guys like the video, like, comment, subscribe, and also leave some comments below and let us know what you want to see. Again, Jay here from EasyBladeShavingProducts.com. Talk to you guys soon.